Contacted my father through a radio signal 30 years after he died. At first, we both thought it was some kind of prank. Then my father accidentally knocked over a can of shoe polish. Instantly, a burn mark appeared on my desk.
You burnt the desk. I can see it.
My father thought I was some creep spying on him from the shadows. He warned me to stay away from him and his family. I had no idea what was happening, but I was certain the man on the other end was really my father from 30 years ago. My father was going to die in a fire the next day. Without time to explain, I urgently warned him, "Tomorrow, don't trust your instincts. Take a different route, and you'll survive." The signal suddenly cut out. We lost contact. The next day, my father arrived at the fire station. A warehouse was on fire. Everything happened exactly as I predicted. At the scene, my father found a trapped girl. The aerial ladder suddenly malfunctioned. The gears jammed and couldn't reach the window to rescue them. My father had to find another way out on his own. His instinct was to take the passage with less fire, but just as he entered it, he remembered my warning. He turned back decisively and took the other route. There he found an emergency slide. Holding the girl, he slid down from the top floor, burst out of the building, and plunged into the river. They made it out alive. I'd been commemorating the anniversary of my father's death, when suddenly a flood of new memories rushed into my mind. Confused about what was real, I frantically called a friend to confirm. My father hadn't died in the fire. He died of lung cancer 10 years ago. I was stunned. I'd actually changed history. I immediately rushed home to check the old newspapers. The article now reported that my father had successfully rescued the trapped girl. That's when my father finally believed me too. I really was his son from 30 years in the future.
You okay, Chief?
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, I got all these new memories, but it's...
So, what'd you wind up doing? You joined the department?
Actually, I went the other way. I'm a cop.
You're third generation firefighter. Come on, I thought you were gonna grow out of that cop phase.
Well, you got snatched to think for that one.
We talked across 3 decades deep into the night before reluctantly hanging up. Having narrowly escaped death, my father excitedly rushed to the hospital to visit my mother. This unexpected visit led my mother to discover a colleague injecting the wrong medication into a patient. She stopped it in time, saving the patient's life. But this also accidentally changed history, putting my mother's life in danger. The next day, I went to work at the police station as usual, but I quickly noticed something was wrong. We'd recently discovered female remains that had led us to the Nightingale murders from 30 years ago. Originally, there had been only 3 nurse victims. Now there were 10. Worse yet, I saw my mother was among them. I rushed home and immediately contacted my father. I told him that mom would be murdered next week. We'd recklessly changed history and caused a disaster. 7 innocent people had lost their lives because of us.
Now, what'd you do last night, Dad?
I talked to you over Gordo's and I went to see your mother over at the hospital.
Oh, shit.
But I'll take her away from here, Johnny. I have to take her away from here. He cannot hurt her if I take her away from here.
What about the others?
Call the police? They're not gonna believe me.
They will if they catch him in the act. And you can make that happen, Dad.
Following the leads I provided, my father went to a bar and successfully found the nurse who was about to be killed. Meanwhile, I received new information. The coroner had identified the first murdered nurse. Then I noticed the file had disappeared. It was the nurse my father was protecting tonight. This meant our plan was working. I told my father about the next victim, the information and approximate time of her murder. I warned him to be extremely careful. My father kept appearing around the target, which aroused the killer's suspicion. While my father was in the bathroom, the killer attacked him from behind.
Following me? How do you follow me?
The killer rifled through my father's wallet, took his driver's license, and dragged him into the stall. On my end, I kept watching the file. The time of the murder had passed, but the file hadn't disappeared. Sure enough, when my father came to and rushed to the victim's house, the nurse was already dead. My father's driver's license had been stolen. Hearing this actually made me excited, because the killer must have left fingerprints when he touched my father's wallet. I told my father to carefully remove the wallet, seal it in a plastic bag, and hide it somewhere no one could find. My father placed the wallet under a loose floorboard. 30 years later, I successfully retrieved the wallet. I immediately went to the station to run the fingerprints. The killer, Jack, turned out to be a cop. That's how he'd gotten away with it all these years. Soon after, I found the elderly Jack at a bar. I deliberately brought up the Nightingale murders from 30 years ago and mentioned that we'd confirmed the identity of the first victim and would soon have solid leads to crack the case. I even told Jack point blank that he was the killer, but the way I'd obtained the fingerprints couldn't be used as evidence. I couldn't arrest Jack. That day, my father's police buddy came looking for him. Turns out, Jack had planted my father's driver's license on the body during his last kill. My father happened to have an eye injury, which increased the suspicion against him. My father could only turn to me 30 years in the future for help, but during our heated exchange, the radio got knocked over and crashed to the floor. My radio malfunctioned at the same time. My father was brought back to the station. To clear his name, he had to tell his partner everything, but as a rational cop, there was no way his partner would believe my father could communicate with me 30 years in the future. To prove he was telling the truth, my father predicted the exact play-by-play of the next inning of a baseball game.
What if I can prove it to you? Huh? How's that? World Series. Where are they right now? What, 4th, 5th inning? Or what if I was to tell you that in the bottom of the 6th inning, the Mets are going to be down 3-zip This is insane, Frank. And then in the bottom of the seventh, Weiss is going to hit a solo home run, and then Jones and Swoboda, they're going to score the...
Frank, they're gonna make you for Sissy Clark's murder.
But his partner completely ignored him, angrily accusing him of messing around at such a critical moment. Just then, the killer Jack walked into the station, burst into the room, and pointed his gun at my father.